I looked at something, I realized that there is a key to success, and that is to proactively, or at least individual success, proactively go find something broken and fix it. That's what every CEO is doing.
Give it to us again. What is the key to success?
Proactively go find something broken and fix it. If you do that, if you're proactive, that means you have initiative and you're not just bumping your gums. If you go, that's action, that's doing something. If you can find something broken, you have vision. If you can come up with an idea on fixing it, that's strategy. If you can actually get it done, you're gonna have to work with other people, that's interpersonal skills. If you're smart about it, you're gonna document results. That's everything people wanna see in the extraordinary leadership model. Proactively go find something broken and fix it. And so I started doing that very, very small things. You know how when you start a job, you're working on it, and after a while, you can do the job with one hand? Well, with the other hand, I would figure out something about the job that I didn't like, and I'd fix it, and then I'd share that with the people I worked with. So instead of me being the number one seller, we'd be the number one team.
Ooh. Okay. Stop dropping gems. Dave, I'm about to put you out of this interview.
Welcome to The Dash. You know The Dash is that tiny line between your life start date and end date. It's your story, the chapters in your book, your journey. Get ready for real conversations with real people telling real stories about the realities of failure, setbacks, and success. Let's go.
Let's go, we're rolling, let's go. The Dash in 3, 2, 1.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Dash Podcast. Once again, thank you all for joining me. I am really excited about our next guest. But before we get to him, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you share this with your family and friends. Leave a comment. I read your comments. I love when you guys interact with me. I really, really appreciate it. And just thank you in advance for your support. I really, really appreciate you. I'm going to have to read all the accomplishments of our next guest. A lot does not impress me, but this man really impresses me because he's doing some amazing things. He's overcome some amazing circumstances. And I love how he pours into the community. His name is David Williams, David C. Williams, to be clear. He is a best-selling author, an inventor, a patent holder. You just won Black Engineer of the Year. As you guys can see right here, he is on the cover of D Magazine, CEO, the Innovation Issue. So he is a cover model. And you are also the AVP at AT&T?
Correct.
For hyper automation.
Correct.
I don't know what none of that means. I'm going to keep it real, but we're going to find out.
All right.
So you guys,
all good.
Welcome David Williams. David.
Thank you. I'm glad we're recording this so my mother can see I really do stuff,
Yes, Mama, you did a good job. And he got the deepest waves I've ever seen in my life. Let's just be clear. The brother definitely, you can tell he brushes all day and sleeps in a wave cap.
No brush all day. I got too much work to do to be doing all that.
I love it. Okay.
It's a unit.
No, is it really?
No, what?
Look,
you can't tell. He say, let me not joke.
No. And they look very real. Okay. And as you say, he has a sense of humor too. So, okay, David, let's talk about it. Let's talk about what all this means.
Sure.
AVP for AT&T, Engineer of the Year.
Yeah.
Who is David?
Yeah, so...
the David now, and then we'll go back.
So David now, Assistant Vice President of Automation at AT&T. I lead a hyper automation organization. What that means is that the type of automation we do is the least expensive way to solve business problems with software. Okay. And so we have a 4,000 or 5,000% ROI for every dollar we spend. We return $40, $50 back.
Wow.
That's better than crypto. We've been on an exponential run. Last year, we closed the year with $995 million in operating income, so almost $1 billion of impact.
Okay.
Most of the team is women, which is uncommon.
Yeah.
It's densely people of color.
Wow.
And many of them don't have a traditional technology background. So they come from customer service, sales, all sorts of places. But last year we won an Information Technology Team of the Year award.
Okay.
And we picked that industry trophy up on Times Square. So I was really happy because some folks that come from some varied places that probably weren't expected to win won. And it was the grit and the fact that they believe in each other. And so we have this, we have a ton of phrases and mantras we operate by. 1 and 1 is 11. You just got to get close enough together. Our greatest strength is each other. And so we just work like a family.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then Engineer of the Year. Let's not forget that.
Yeah. So, man, I don't want to make this a long story, but to tell the complete piece of it, my sister was diagnosed with cancer February 2020. She had the same cancer Steve Jobs and Aretha Franklin had. And she had 39 tumors in her stomach.
Oh, my goodness.
Nothing about it looked good. I mean, even we were at the VA, and the VA has a reputation, no offense. But long story short, God delivered that whole thing. It was miraculous. All 39 tumors removed, so much that no chemo was even needed.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. It was a complete miracle, okay? When I saw God move like that, I realized that there's absolutely nothing that can't be done. And so, the thing that I believe in is that all Rudolph needed was one foggy night, and Christmas would never be the same. And so when COVID hit the following month, March 2020, AT&T got stuck in a tough situation like every other telecom, which is the government regulates us and says, look, your folks can work from home, but they can't see a credit card, a social security number, date of birth, which means you can't make a payment, you can't make a sale. It's an easy way to go out of business.
Yeah, for sure.
And so in about 5 weeks, I invented something with some folks and created a solution so 40,000 people could work from home during the pandemic. That's like 1 million calls a day. So many schools, nurses, hospitals needed communication. It was a big deal. The following year, I was awarded the Legacy Award at the Black Engineer of the Year Global Competitive Conference. Yeah.
Congratulations. Look, I love how you so humbly said, in 5 weeks I invented, this technology. It's nothing. I do this in my sleep.
Teamwork makes the dream work. But
Yes.
yeah, no fear. No, after seeing what happened to my sister and watching her go through that, I just feel like there's nothing that can't be done. And so, it's been a whirlwind. I just got back to Dallas today. I was out of town meeting with some folks from all over the world working on something where we will reinvent customer service, and it ideally should liberate a lot of low and middle income people across America.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
David, you're very, very impressive. But what makes you even more impressive? I want to go back.
Okay.
I want to go back, if you're comfortable with going back, because I always say sometimes we don't respect the grind and the hustle and the accomplishments until we know what people have overcome and gone through. Right? And just so you understand, that is what the Dash is about. So the Dash is that seemingly insignificant line between your birth date and your death date, right? So it's your journey, it's your story.
Yeah.
And I think that so many people are caught in the middle of their dash right now, and maybe they're in the middle of a storm, or maybe, life dealt them an unfair hand.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you feel like your environment or your circumstances will keep you from achieving these bold dreams that you have and these bold goals.
Yeah.
But to see where you are now, I do want to go back. Number one, he's mentioned that he's from South Dallas. And so for our viewers that are not from Dallas, South Dallas is
The poorest corner of the city.
It is, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's the hood. It is. There's no way around it.
If you went to a bad part of town and asked them where was a bad part of town, they'd all say South Dallas and don't go there.
That's exactly
right.
And that was back in the day, and that's today too.
Right.
Yeah. So you're from South Dallas.
Correct.
Now that I think about it, I'm like, why is the south side of the town always... Okay.
That's a whole nother conversation,
We're not even going to go there.
Socioeconomic, macro.
Yeah, all of that. So I'm reading here on your one sheet. Something happened in your life at the age of 8.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. First, before we get into that, who was David as a kid? What type of kid were you? And then we'll talk about that.
Oh, man. Gosh. I was a daddy's boy. I mean, I love my mother. She is my inspiration. But, my dad was Superman. He used to go hunting. He jumped out of, he did parachuting. He drove a beautiful Cadillac. He was a working hand for the Lord. He was from the hood too. He would break up fights. I was with my dad and watched him do those kinds of things. I watched him counsel people in Dixon's Circle who had tried to commit suicide. Right? And he was a fly dude. He was cool. You know, he had an afro that was perfectly as round as that light right
I
there.
love it. Yeah.
And so me as a kid, I was, I always wanted to go out and hang with him. My dad was very serious. He didn't play any games. He was very serious about, your chores in school and all those things. And so, every week he'd make me read an extra book from the library. If I got in trouble, he dealt with it quickly and firmly. And if I didn't, he would reward me, every week. If I, did good, then he would reward me. And every year on Juneteenth, we would travel to Galveston because we have family down there. And so it's 5 or 6 cars. They're on the CB radio,
that's
Breaker
fun.
Breaker 19,
Yeah.
Snowman is Thin Man,
Yeah.
all of that kind of stuff. So
Okay, nice.
cool.
So grew up daddy's boy.
mhm.
He was your hero.
Yeah.
8 years old. Are you ready to talk about it? I mean, it's
Oh man.
I'm sure even at a grown age, it's probably not easy. And if you're uncomfortable with
No, I'm okay. I'm
Okay.
okay. So at 8, so at 8 years old, it was August 22nd, my father came over to our home, and he and my mother had recently divorced, but he was still very much in all of our lives. And so him coming over wasn't uncommon.
Sure.
I saw him, I'm like playing on my skateboard, riding around in the house, messing up my mama's carpet, and I see him come through the living room window. I see him pull up in the driveway. He's walking up the porch. He has some papers in his hand, and he's stuffing a pistol in his pocket. When he comes in, door's unlocked. He comes in, he walks straight to my mom's room, and he's moving kind of fast and talking kind of fast. I can hear commotion, not arguing, but just commotion, grown people talking, And so I'm sensing something's not right. My sister comes and grabs me and pulls me into her room. And she says, "We're going to go next door and call the police." Now, my sister's 13 at the time. I don't know how she had the insight at 13
Sure.
to put all that together. At any rate, my mom and dad walked from my mom's room through the kitchen to the dining room, and my sister grabs me by the hand and drags me out the back of the house. We're running through the backyard, in between the two houses, and as we're going in between our house and the neighbor's house to call the police, I hear 2 loud bang, bang. And I'm like, wow. My sister, being the hero, the soldier she is, she doesn't stop, keeps moving. We get to the neighbor's house. Miss Mitchell calls the police, and all 3 of us go back to our house. When we walk in, my mother is sitting there on an old school record player, the old cabinet style, and she's just crying profusely. And my dad's, he committed suicide at home. And, she was crying so much. And the only thing I could say to her was, "Mama, I'll be the man." And
That was what you said in the moment?
in the moment,
Wow.
"Mama, I'll be the man," trying to make right what had just went wrong, as a kid. And so that happened, and he didn't die that day. It was 3 days later he passed away, and life changed,
It was interesting earlier when you were describing your father. The point that you told in the story was, I saw my father counsel people that were suicidal.
Yeah. That's crazy.
The irony in that.
Yeah. And I mean, some tough suicidal, attempts, dismemberment, figurement, all those things. And so I it's crazy to try to think like, how did this happen? Why did this happen? sometimes people think that a permanent solution is the only way you can solve some temporary problems. And it's very unfortunate, but my mother, she never spoke any negative words about my father.
Sure.
As I got older, look, I'm grown enough to realize, look, I love my father. He was a great guy. At the end of the day, he did check out. I had to do it on my mother and I had, family had to do it on our own. And going through that hardship made me the man that I am. Mm-hmm. It gave me a lot of grit. I don't quit. I'm not looking for a handout. When it's not easy, I'm not quitting. When the mountain turns into a cliff, I'm gonna scale it. Picking up chores at a young age taught me a lot. When boys cut the yard, that is like a rite of passage as a young man. It's the first long duration responsibility that you got to go solve. And if you do it wrong, it's going to take even longer. So I learned so much. It was the beginning of a lot.
That's strong. Beginning of a lot.
I tell you another real crazy story that was right off the back tail of that. My mother, God bless her, took us to counseling. Well, back then, nobody cared about mental health, especially black people's mental health, especially some little young black boys' mental health. And so my mother having the foresight to do that for myself, my sister, and herself is priceless. Because today we can talk freely about the ramifications of mental health and not being able to take care of it and do the things that we need. So counseling was never a stigma in the household. We were able to talk through what happened and as best we could get beyond it,
Wow, kudos to your mom. And you're absolutely right. Up until 3-4 years ago, that
story meant nothing. That story meant nothing.
Yes. And just to think 3 or 4 years ago, before 3 or 4 years ago, it was weird if a black family went to counseling.
Right.
It was like, what's wrong with y'all? It was just, it wasn't normal. It has definitely become normalized. We still have a long way to go.
Agreed.
But wow, kudos to your mom for.
Yeah. And so after that, my mom wanted us to do better. And one of the things she did was she enrolled me in private school. Now, this was St. Anthony.
Now, hold on. I want people to understand. This is a little boy from South Dallas, from the hood. Mm-hmm. When I tell you, I need to hug mama's neck. Mama is determined.
Mama is the truth.
Yes. Kudos.
Mama's the truth.
Okay. So we go to private school.
Yeah. Mama's tough.
Cause I know mama was gonna make a way out of
man.
any kind of way she could to be able to pay for their private school.
But let me give it to you. So she would work overtime. She worked at Juanita Craft Post Office in South Dallas. She would work overtime in the morning, overtime at night. And so she would drop me off at my big mama's house. I'd sleep on the couch. It's still dark. Walk up to Bear Street, catch the city bus, the 44 Oakland from Val's Liquor Store. Ride up to St. Anthony. Mind you, St. Anthony is a private school, but it's in South Dallas, so it's a different kind of private school. There was one school bus. It was green and didn't run, and the kids were happy because nobody wanted to ride on it, right? It was that kind of private school. And so I lived on 75 cents for bus fare, $1 lunch, walk home, 50 cents for a snack till she gets off work. That's $2.25. That was cool, but on Fridays, in DISD, they serve pizza.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy. Can we just, for pizza, just...
And pizza and corn at that.
Pizza, get it... Right, that's crazy. That square pizza, that rectangle pizza.
Yes.
But pizza, get it going. So for me, man, I wanted more slices of pizza on Friday. And so one Monday morning, I had this crazy idea where I said, look, I'm going to go to the liquor store to catch the bus. I put 75 cents in my pocket for the bus fare with the other $1.50. I'm buying 3 packs, and now later I get to school. I sell 3 now laters for $0.25. I double my money. By Friday, I buy 3 slices of pizza. I'm helping the household now. That was the beginning of the business mind. And so today I host solar robot workshops for children in underserved neighborhoods. And the point of all of that is for them to know that small ideas are still bright ideas. For me, my small idea was buying candy so I could buy lunch. sell candy so I could buy lunch. Their small idea is robots at a minimum. So you got to be ahead of me. So you got to see yourself going beyond me. That's, the premise of that.
Where does that come from? Who does that come from? How did you get that mindset? Like, what gave you the idea? Like, is somebody born with that, or is that learned behavior, or both?
It can, everyone learns one of two ways: instruction or experience, right? Don't touch the fire, instruction. Stick your hand in it. It's hot, experience, right? And so, I'm sure there's folks that learn on both sides of that. I think often it's experience. You have to really understand the plight of folks that are going through things to not be so judgmental to stick somebody in the hood in a box. Oh, you can only be a sanitation worker. You can only be a radio host. Oh, you can only be a camera guy. Who's to say that, right? You might be a math magician, a radio host, a fashionista, a clothing clothier, who knows, what I mean? And so, I had a big brother from Big Brothers and Sisters, Mama again.
Put you in Big Brothers and Big Sisters. Wow.
Listen,
Look,
shout out
Mama.
shout out to Kenneth Gwynn. He and I were big brothers since I was 9, and I think we broke the record in Dallas for the longest pairing. Crazy. But yeah, and he, Kenneth took me under his wing. He taught me to drive a stick, which was my first car, and, did his best to teach me how to be a man, and,
But let's talk about that for a second, because I, unfortunately, up until being an adult, never truly understood the importance of mentorship. And I guess because I grew up different, I had both of my parents in the house until I was 15, 16 years old, until they divorced, right? Even when I went to college, I did not take advantage of mentorship. Now being an adult, here I am, and I'm like, I have some amazing mentors in my life that are really instrumental in having me think outside of the box of this box that I put myself in for so many years.
Right.
But you were 9 years old and you got a mentor, and a lot of us, or a lot of people in general, just blow it off to be like, it's just something to pass time.
Yeah.
But your mentor literally changed the trajectory of your life.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Hindsight is 20/20.
Yep.
And so, I'm wise enough to know that the two most powerful things on earth are relationships and words. God spoke the earth with words.
Absolutely.
He didn't put us here alone, so there's relationships and bonds. And a lot of times, folks are looking for the bag and trying to get to the, the money and all of that. But if you can build relationships, rich people go broke, but they always bounce back. Why? It's not because they have money. They just went broke, but they have relationships, and you can sit under someone and get the cheat codes to the game of life for your journey, your career path, or whatever else, and, getting those cheat codes from someone, I think, enables you to leapfrog, to do the 1 and 1 is 11. Let's do something exponential, right? Jade's going to bring her best self. Her mentor is going to bring their best self. They're going to do something exponential together, and they'll get further faster. And so I think, mentorship, even in colleges, right? It's the alumni is what makes Harvard so amazing, right? It's the alumni. It's the people, right? Is what makes that such a prestigious thing. And you can reach out to these people who will give you a helping hand. It's just hard as hell to get over a mountain without somebody pulling you a little bit of the way up. And unfortunately, in our community, in the Black community, sometimes the glass ceiling is tinted. It's us afraid of our own shadows. And we got to get away from that. The world's too big. The pie can grow. It's more than enough room for one of us at a table. We have to be able to empower others, because at the end of the day, if I'm helping folks, but I'm not willing to reach in my Rolodex and make phone calls for folks that are young lions coming up in their career, then I'm building an entourage. I'm not building a future. And we all have to be critical of our mentors. impress upon the folks that I mentor to be critical upon me. If they're trying to do something in their own career and I'm not helping them the way that they'd like to, be critical of me. Either I can or I can't, but I should definitely be trying. Otherwise, I'm wasting your time and mine.
Your mom placed you in Big Brothers and Big Sisters at 9, so you learned that importance at a young age. What about, there are a lot of people right now, you said, that are looking at a mountain trying to figure out how to go over it. How do people find mentorships now, right?
Yeah.
Because I always say this. We have this saying that it takes a village when we're children.
Right.
Well, what the heck happens to the village when we become adults? It's like, where is the village? Because I really need a village right now, right? So, I mean, like, to me, I feel like I need the village more now than I did back then.
Right.
How do people find mentors?
You know, I think, to me, there's a couple things that I think about when I'm looking for a mentor. I'm probably going to do some research on, if I'm going to an event and there's some, important people there or some people I'd like to get to know. I'm going to do a little bit of research so I know them, know a little bit about them. When I introduce myself to them, hopefully I can break the ice by talking about something that's relevant to them, right? Because they don't know me.
Good point.
Now, I've broken the ice and they ask me, well, David, what about you? Hopefully I have something impressive that I've been working on that I can share with them that impresses them versus me just trying to impress them in a moment. If that sticks, then, I'm going to give them their space. I'll catch you on email, DM, whatever. We can connect and have a more meaningful one-on-one discussion and see if we can't go there. But I think when it comes to mentoring, you got to be willing to make the first step.
Yes.
And serious about it. Because if you're going to have a mentor relationship, one person that can't quit on it is the mentor. So as a protege, you have to put in just as much commitment and time and effort as well.
I like how you said that. And you also mentioned bringing something to them.
Right.
I think a lot of times we want a mentor, but to us, mentor is like, show me everything you know. It don't work like that. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
I think we have mentorship confused because you're right. As the mentee, it's going to be more work on our end probably than on the mentor's end. And we have to also be bringing something to the table, whether it's effort, ideas, like you said, something that you've been working on that maybe you've gotten as far as you could go with it. And now you just need that little extra resource or edge or whatever. So I think that's a really great point.
It's easier to put something with something than something with nothing.
Ooh, you better preach it. That's
Sad
good.
ass.
That is good. That is good. Okay, so how do we end up where we are now, becoming an engineer? I'm assuming, so we go to the private school, we're catching the bus, we're selling Narrators, we learning how to flip money, we're doing all the things. What was next for you?
Yeah, so, I bounced around. I went to, high school in Dallas. I'm a Dallas native, so I went to some tough schools too. John B. Hood. They don't even have Hood anymore, right?
Those of y'all that don't know.
That was the true lean on me school.
Definitely.
Right.
For sure.
I went to Skyline, also DBU. Actually, my degree's in marketing. I got that through AT&T. And I worked in a lot of operational roles. And so the way I got to this was in every role I got into, I looked at something, I realized that there is a key to success. And that is to proactively, or at least individual success, proactively go find something broken and fix it. That's what every CEO is doing.
Give it to us again. What is the key to success?
Proactively go find something broken and fix it. If you do that, if you're proactive, that means you have initiative and you're not just bumping your gums. If you go, that's action, that's doing something. If you can find something broken, you have vision. If you can come up with an idea on fixing it, that's strategy. If you can actually get it done, you're gonna have to work with other people, that's interpersonal skills. If you're smart about it, you're gonna document results. That's everything people wanna see in the extraordinary leadership model. Proactively go find something broken and fix it. And so I started doing that very, very small things. You know how when you start a job, you're working on it, and after a while, you can do the job with one hand? Well, with the other hand, I would figure out something about the job that I didn't like, and I'd fix it, and then I'd share that with the people I worked with. So instead of me being the number one seller, we'd be the number one team.
Ooh. Okay. Stop dropping gems. Damn, I'm about to put you out of this interview.
Well, look, sometimes when folks ask me to mentor them, like it's somebody from sales, and I get to talking to them, they're like, "Hey, Dave, you know what I'm saying? I'm doing my thing over here in sales. I'm the number one person in sales." And I'm like, "Okay, well, great. Sounds like you're in a perfect job. What are we talking about?" They're like, "Well, wait, I wanted a leadership role," and I'm, "Okay, great. Well, if I'm the director over sales, and you're the top seller in the store, if what you're doing to be number one, you could share that with others and they adopt what you're doing, they listen to it, you look like my next manager to promote."
Okay, so let's talk about that. Because we know that normally does not happen. You have a
Correct.
different, which, oh my gosh, it kills me that we live in a society. We are so afraid to share the sauce and the secrets.
And and so I've been around the world, man. I mean, literally. And there is enough to go around.
You better tell it.
I mean, for real, there is enough to go around. There's not enough ideas. There's not enough engineers. There's not enough technology. There's so many things. Every problem is an opportunity to solve and make a business behind it. I think the pandemic woke up a big portion of the world to go do those things. But again, the glass ceiling is too tinted, man. We got to stop hoarding. There's no problem with the pipeline. There's a clog in it. Who's the clog? Who's the clog in the pipeline? There's plenty of talent. There's plenty of talent. No question. Why aren't they all moving through?
That's good.
Entourage? Are we building entourages or are we building futures? Right? If I don't, the only way I have a legacy, people talk about generational stuff. We could talk about that too, but the only way I have a legacy is whatever it is I'm talking about, doing, caring about, my interest, industry. It has to go beyond me, beyond my own life, beyond my dash. Right? Otherwise, it dies with me. If I don't hand those keys over to somebody else to go faster and further than myself, if I'm chopping wood through the jungle, paving a path, I'm only going to go so far chopping wood, but I've cleared a path and it's going to grow back in soon. So while I'm clearing this path, not after I've retired, but while I'm clearing this path, I need some young lions running to go take off and take it beyond where I can.
Amen. Why are we so afraid to do that? Go on, keep it real, David. I know you know.
All right. So let me before I say it directly, let me say it this way. Do you know who Mark Zuckerberg's mentor is?
I do not.
Bill Gates.
Wow.
Do you know who Bill Gates' mentor is?
I do not. Let me guess. No, I'm not going to guess. Go ahead.
Warren Buffett.
I promise I was going to guess that. Okay.
It's all good. I give it to you on
okay.
GP.
I appreciate that.
So, do you think Warren Buffett, one of the greatest investors of all time, feels slighted that his protege was the richest man in the world for 10 years? Do you think Warren Buffett feels some kind of way?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Do you think Bill Gates, arguably one of the fathers of the digital age, computers, software, operating systems, all that, do you think Bill Gates feels some kind of way that his protege has Metaverse and Facebook and Snapchat and Instagram and WhatsApp?
Not at all. It's a reflection of him. I'm sure they're all proud.
I could only imagine if, Warren wasn't here and Bill went to Mark and said, "Hey, man, I'm sure missing Warren. I'd love if we could put a statue up over here at Facebook. You think Mark's going to have an issue with that? What color you want, bronze or gold?"
Okay.
Right? That's how legacies live on. But the truth of the matter is, the way you gain more power is to give it away. True leadership knows the best way to gain more power is to give it away. If I hire talented people, I don't hire them and put them into a box and tell them how to think. I hire them and say, "Here's my issue. How should we think about it?" And I empower them to go do even greater things. And when they do, I want to recognize them. What are they going to do? Even more greater things. What does that make me look like? Some rock star when really I'm just playing the guitar. They the rock star. So unfortunately, I think that our community has come up in a way where people believe there was only one seat, and if you could take it all the way back, I'm on camera with this too. If you take it all the way back, there were some in the House.
Listen, I'm
And
telling you,
some in
I
the field.
just had this conversation. I promise you, it is, but it's so true.
Look, there was some in the house and some in the field. Just because you're in the house doesn't mean you're smarter than the ones in the field.
Nope.
The truth of the matter is the ones in the house are supposed to give the information to the ones in the field.
They
But
started
then
feeling like they were better.
they started looking down their nose, and now the division comes. And we all know the oldest trick is to divide and conquer. And so now we're missing things, right? You throw in a Willie Lynch on top of it, and now it's exponentially missing things. And that stuff has continued for years and years on. And it's not just folks who live in South Dallas, Texas, but it's every echelon, every ring of the socioeconomic structure where, unfortunately, a toxic mentality exists.
Ooh. That is so good. That is so real. It's so unfortunate. I say it all the time. I'm like, and this is not a jug,
Right.
but and I'm not saying, I don't want to say all, I don't want to say every. I'm not gonna final,
Right.
yeah, I'm not
Right.
gonna do that. But I will say, oftentimes you watch other cultures. I just saw a post on Instagram, and it was a guy, and he was talking about a rich Jewish man, and the rich Jewish man, they were like, "How come Jewish families always have money?" And he said, because every time a Jewish man makes a deal, there's at least 5 other Jewish men that are also making money off of that deal. And so the money continues to circulate.
Correct. Yeah, you could, so many communities have figured that the first business unit was the family unit.
That's good.
Right? Business, all it takes to be successful in a couple of things, but all it takes to be successful in business is trust. If you have nothing, I have nothing. We still put nothing together. We got a little bit more. If you're looking that way, I'm looking this way. We at least got our backs covered.
But it goes back to what you said, but a family divided.
Correct.
When you don't trust, when you start competing within.
And so these things have perpetuated. It started house and field, then it turned into like corporate and hood. And right, I was born in the hood and I work in corporate. I've seen both sides of it, and it's tough because that's where the disdain comes from. It's not that people in the hood don't respect corporate or corporate don't respect how life is in the hood, but when you start to not share that information, Black people's culture is communication, right? If a Black person walk past you and don't speak, you're like, what was that? Right? And I know that about you, even though you and I haven't had that conversation, because I know that's part of our culture, right? No one taught you that. It's just kind of in you. And so that communication is a part of our culture. When we don't follow, keep up, whatever you want to call it, nurture our culture, you're going to get breakdown. You're going to miss some things. We're going to suffer as a community. And so, the Jewish community and many others, have figured out we can't divide it. It can't be, Black man and Black woman, or Hispanic man, Israeli woman, and Portuguese man and Portuguese. It's got to be the Portuguese. It's got to be the Ukrainians. It's got to be the Israeli. It's got to be the Hispanics. It's got the Latino. It's the And so if we can again come together, 1 and 1 is 11. So individual success, key to success. Proactively go find something broken and fix it. I believe there's a key to success for collective success, which is to align and come together. And like logs in a raft, you can float up out of any situation. You can walk on water just like the good books say.
I love that.
Right?
I love that.
Here's one. 20 years ago, they used to talk about Mexican people and say, there's 12 of them live in a house. They used to talk like that. People did.
Yeah.
Now they own 12 houses.
You better tell it.
Is it because, look, man, my whole team's diverse, okay? So is it, and we had these kind of conversations too, is it because they're smarter than others, they work harder than others? No, I can't say that. It's hardworking Black people, white people, green people, purple people, whatever. But they aligned and came together. Period.
That's good. That's good.
I think The way God is he makes it may not be easy, but it is simple. It really is that simple.
Yes, we do make life difficult and complex.
Right.
No, you're absolutely right. Let me ask you this. How did you not let your environment that you grew up in and the circumstances, because I know life as a child obviously wasn't easy. We heard about that. I know since then there have been bumps in the road.
Sure.
How did you not let that affect your now? Because a lot of people are stuck because they are visually, they cannot let go of what they were born into, you know?
Yeah.
Or the circumstances or the hand that they've been dealt.
Right. Maybe a couple of things. One is I believe the past is only good for learning from. You can reminisce in the past and that's cool, but the real purpose of the past is to learn from it. That way you can go do the present better than the past so you have a better future. Again, simple, not easy. If you get stuck in the past, then you never get to move forward, and you do keep repeating that. The children of Israel showed us that, right? You walk around the circle long enough, you dig your own grave. And mentally, a lot of folks are walking around in the same circle, digging their own grave, and they just don't realize it. The greatest prison is the one that we put ourselves in because we're worried about what other people think. And so I think getting out of the past is one. The other is the tough things that we go through, those disadvantages are actually advantages. Would Michael Jordan be Michael Jordan if his brother didn't beat the heck out of him in basketball like he did? Would Jordan be Jordan if the UNC coach didn't shove him in the dorm with the other guy and call the other guy the best player on the team? All of these hardships groomed Jordan to be who he is. It's like charcoal being crushed and pressured into being a diamond. It works in the human experience as well. We just have to be willing to use those things to get through it. So, if you make, I talk to kids all the time, say, look, nobody in the hood has grown up and not heard make $1 out of 15 cents. $1 out of 15 cents is literally a 600% ROI. If a CFO could make $1 out of 15 cents for 1 or 2 quarters, that CFO would be CEO. That is a transferable skill. But unfortunately, when we go to work, we leave that in the parking lot instead of taking it into work with us. Well, if we do take it into work with us and quit saying that ain't my job, then you might go proactively find something broken and fix it, and you start to gain skills that other people don't have. Your resume starts to look like different than others. The accomplishments start to stand out, and people are like, yo, that's my next leader. Even if folks are hating, I went 9 years without a promotion. Even if things don't go, cool, at a certain point, excellence commands exposure. Period. I don't care what somebody try to take from you. I really could care less. Excellence commands exposure. Steve Jobs started a company, they took it from him. He got it right back and turned, because excellence commands exposure, right? I mean, Barack Obama, folks didn't think he had a chance. He was a young dude trying to come up through political rank. Man, he, every speech he gave sounded like new Abraham Lincoln. Like, oh my, excellence commands exposure.
That's good, David. That is so, so good. You mentioned not getting a promotion for 9 years. Again, you have this fancy title right now at AT&T. And what is it again?
Assistant Vice President of Automation.
Sound pretty fancy to me. I see the watch. We got the we're real drippy up in here today. No, I'm just joking. God is good.
You know what though? But listen, to that point though, I don't cut off the swag. Don't leave home without it. I know there are young children that I talk to, I work with all the time. They're watching kids from Israel and all sorts of places around the world. And the story I have to them is, look, man, technology doesn't look homogeneous. It's not only one flavor of it.
For sure.
you can continue to be as cool as you want to be
Mm-hmm.
and go create whatever it is in this world you want to do, scientifically, technically, whatever that is. And so representation matters. How do you know you can do that until you see that?
Yeah. We eat with our eyes.
Right.
And you are going to inspire certain people because, Lord have, I'm not even going to say, well, yes, I am. Because you have a certain look. You do have a certain swag. You do have a certain appeal, right? And you're right. We are not monolithic.
Right.
And that's the beauty of life and of us. And I love the fact that you don't conform and say, well, I am in this position now, so I have to be XYZ, which makes
me pontificate.
exactly, which makes our younger generation feel like it's unachievable.
Right.
Because they don't look like that right now.
Or even undesirable.
Undesirable is
Yeah,
even
you know,
better.
a lot
Yeah.
of young kids, they opt to go the TikTok YouTuber route because the corporate executive route seems either unattainable or undesirable.
That's good. That's good. Mhm.
Right.
No. Okay. I do want to mention, but when you first got in AT&T, obviously your first job at AT&T was not being the
Oh, no.
AVP.
Oh,
so quickly, because here's another issue I feel like we face oftentimes. We have a goal in mind. We want to go from A to Z. And so we gotta go. We don't even go from A to B sometimes. Sometimes it's A to like A plus, and then,
Right.
it's small growth.
Right.
So when you first started working at AT&T,
Yeah.
was it entry level position?
Oh my God. I was at the very bottom of the barrel. My schedule was so messed up. My off days were split. I didn't get two together, never a weekend.
Oh, my
I worked
gosh.
deep nights, evening, day. I mean, it rotated by the week, so I never had a opportunity to have something stable. I worked in network when I first started. I moved over to consumer broadband, tech support. After that, I went into training. And I mean, even going from that into training, it still wasn't a promotion for me. I was still non-management, but to be a trainer, I went through a mock interview and created like a whole simulator to teach people just so I could try to get the interview. And then once I got the job, they're like, okay, take that simulator and run it across California and Texas. Like, okay, well, I guess, it worked. After that, I went to the data center. That was like a job. If you make one mistake, you could get fired. A highly stressful kind of role. I went from that into another role, which was a service executive. It's a 24/7 grind. You're working with global customers. So 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning conference calls with England. Anything breaks, it goes up to the chairman's office. I moved from there to competitive intelligence, to chief of staff, to tech support, social media, chat, back to business. I went and learned the business. I really went to go. I worked in the bowels
that's
of
the key.
it.
That I want to bring that up because a lot of times when we have goals, we have entry level positions, or things are not moving fast enough, or this doesn't look the way that I thought it was going to look. So we often move,
Right.
and we say a couple of different things. Well, maybe this isn't what God meant for me. maybe my goals or my dreams, I'm just gonna come up with another idea. You see other people making money, so now you go live somebody else's gift. It's all of these different things. And I want to bring that up because you also mentioned not getting a promotion for 9 years, which I'm sure in that time you deserved one. Why didn't you quit, or why didn't you change the vision?
I believe success is defined as momentum over time.
How much time does it take sometimes? It was 9 years before you got a promotion.
You know what? Now you're going to make me preach now.
Okay.
Okay, wait. Okay, look,
Lord.
since you bring up 9 years. So there's this story I love in the Bible, and it's about the woman with the issue of blood. 12 years she sat in that camp.
Did.
The rule of the law at the time was that you couldn't leave if you were during that time of the month. And Jesus only preached 3 years. She was there for 12. So for 9 years, she didn't get a promotion either.
Okay, number 9. I said, look, you better, okay.
All right, she didn't get a promotion either. And she started to hear stories about this miracle worker from other people. From that, she gained enough faith to come up with her own dream. Nothing in the Bible said, if you touch the hem of the high priest, then this happened. There is no law for that. This was her whole, came up by herself dream. Okay. She acts on it. She stays with it. It's a bunch of people around. She could have quit, pressed on. When other people told her probably stop, no thank you. That you're not supposed to do that. No, this is impossible. She kept going and got her blessing. You can't, look, there are no strikeouts in the game of life. None. There are only home runs. No sudden death, red zone. There's none of that. You get a day to wake up, swing for the fences. It's grand slam time, you know? And so during that time, I did everything I could. I won, I think, a couple of diversity awards, a Dreaming Black award. I got a patent for connecting satellite and LTE technology. I was doing projects that were driving $30, $40 million worth of savings and stuff. And so I just never gave up. And at a certain point, excellence commands exposure, right? If you have an apple seed, everybody is like an apple seed. An apple seed knows what color the skin of the apple is going to be. Is it a big one, a little one? How many leaves on the tree branch, how tall it grows, how deep the roots, how fat the trunk. It knows all of that. The only thing it needs is the right environment. That apple seed can't quit. It can't quit because there's fruit to be given. And, you know, people can say this, they can say that, but I think the Bible says, look, a tree is known by its fruit, regardless of what you call it. What fruit came off of it?
I know that's right.
That's what it is.
That's good. That's good. Look.
Told you you're going to have me preaching up in here.
If it don't work out, I'll see Pastor Williams.
No.
Okay, so obviously you and I could talk forever because you have so many amazing things going on. Your perspective on life is spot on. And of course, we're always growing and learning, right?
Sure.
And I can tell that you're a student of life, which is great. Speaking of being a student, you did bring something here today. I don't want to touch it because I don't want to break it.
Oh no!
But it's a
good.
robot, so I need you to get this robot.
Yeah,
what
it's
is
good.
this?
So
Yes.
yeah, so we won't make it do anything right now.
Okay.
But it is a solar robot. This is it's two different types of robots I work with students on. This one is a solar robot, and the reason why I work with solar robots is when I was in India, I was at an all-girls orphanage. Okay. Man, I'm talking about a watershed moment, okay? Young, driven, focused little girls that just had a very slim shot at life. And talking to them about technology, and wow, I mean, even we broke the language barrier with all that, but talking with them about technology, as well as just kids around the hood, if this thing needed batteries, it'd be done in 10 minutes. But because it's solar, everybody has access to the sun. And so we can all participate in it. And so with these robots, I have workshops with the children. We build them together. We break out into groups. We build them together. There's teaming and all sorts of things around that. There's the theory of solar panels, solar energy, who discovered it, how it was invented, et cetera, et cetera. We go through all of those things, how solar panels work, the photovoltaic cells in them, blah, blah, blah. Then we race them against each other. Then I encourage the students to get innovative and figure out how to make one beat another. And so they start doing things like pulling things off because there's weight, there's gravity, et cetera, et cetera. And so they do things to try to make theirs go faster. I stop and have this conversation and say, all right, pause. Now, in a certain space, we discount this. We discredit this. We just say, oh, I just hooked it up. I just jerry-rigged it.
You got you.
But no, that's engineering. That's innovation, right? That's worth millions and billions. There was a patent lawsuit between Apple and Samsung. It's worth like a couple billion, I think, or at least a few hundred million. Anyhow, that lawsuit was over swipe to open. Nothing super technical, just swipe to open. Couple billion, swipe to open. man, we have so many ideas. Small ideas are still bright ideas.
You know what? It's so interesting you say that. Swipe to open does seem so small, but swipe to open is everything.
How do you open a phone with no buttons?
Exactly.
Right? Before there's
small-
Face ID and all this other stuff. Swipe to open. It was a very big lawsuit that went on and on and on. But the point is, small ideas are bright ideas, right? You know, Thomas Edison, we all know about him. Thomas created not only the light bulb, the light switch, the telephone pole on it, the generator. He was in business. He was trying to do his thing. Well, he couldn't get to that. And he tried on it 5,000 times. He couldn't finish that light bulb until a black guy named Lewis Latimer figured out what the filament was supposed to be. Because Edison couldn't get it to burn more than a few hours. Latimer got it to burn much longer. And that's what invented artificial light.
Wow.
Small ideas, bright ideas.
Speaking of small ideas, give me the condensed version. Somebody watching or listening today has a small idea. And they're like, I've always wanted to get this patented. I've always wanted to make this a thing.
Okay.
I don't really know if there's a condensed version of getting a patent, because you've gotten a patent. And what was it on, by the way?
Yeah, I got a couple. One on reprogrammable RFID and another on dual connectivity Wi-Fi router.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look that
So
up.
a Wi-Fi router
Okay.
that has two forms of connection to it.
Okay.
One might be satellite, like you're in rural America.
Okay.
And the other might be LTE.
Okay.
And so I did that because in rural America, satellite internet is typically slow. And it's not because the download's slow, it's just hard to beam something all the way to space. And so the upload may go over one connection, LTE, quickly. And the download comes back over satellite quickly. The experience is better. The company that has it leases it, makes a profit. You know,
That's a nice patent to have. All right. And then the other one was you said
reprogrammable RFID. You know, your ID badge that people use to get. Imagine being able to reprogram something like that, and it not necessarily always be an ID badge. It could be a brooch, a watch, a shirt. It could be a medallion. And things start to act off of proximity. So maybe you pull into your neighborhood, the air conditioning turns on. You pull into the driveway, the sprinkler system shuts off. You know, things just start to happen based on proximity without even touching it.
you
Sad
is
Alice.
smart.
Sad Alice.
I love it. Yes, this is a product of South Dallas. Hey, don't count South Dallas out. Let me just say that.
Look,
I love it.
And again, making $1 out of 15 cents, making a way out of no way, making ends meet. All of those things are the ways that I personally use those lessons to go create and innovate things.
Look, man, shouts out to those now laters. Okay.
Right.
Shouts out.
I'm saying.
That was all the beginning. Okay. I have to show everybody this. Again, I can talk to him forever, but congratulations on this. I don't want to get any fingerprints on it, but becoming the cover of DCEO, the innovation issue. So congratulations
Thank
to you
you.
on this. This is a big deal.
It is. It is. D Magazine is one of the most prominent magazines in the region.
Yes.
Not only what you know, the cover was such a surprise, but also won a D Magazine Innovation Corporate Innovator of the Year award. So that was cool too.
So much on this table that we have to celebrate. And then here we go with the David, I swear you think you're a model.
Whoa, you the model.
No, not at all.
I just play the guitar. You the rock star.
All right, tell us about the book. How can
Sure.
everybody get the book and what is it about?
Sure. You can go to Amazon and get the book, or you can go to businessmodelbook.com and pick up the book. The book is, it bookends with starting at my father committing suicide. And it ends with me winning that Black Engineer of the Year award. The thesis of the book is that combining your past experiences with your professional passion creates your own unique business model for success. Again, 1 and 1 makes 11. And so I believe that, you know, if you don't have this, if you have the will, you can always develop the skill.
That's good. David, thank you so much for taking the time to
Thank
come
you.
today. Like, I feel so enlightened. I feel smarter being around you. Congratulations on all your success. What is next?
You know, Jade, there's a few things. So one, I'm working with an amazing group of folks to reinvent customer service. I believe later this year we'll introduce something that will dramatically impact American society about as profound as Uber, perhaps. You know, more conferences, speaking engagements, and what little bit of spare time I have, I like to write or record music. So,
Really?
oh yeah, there might be. I may have. I actually just recorded a song
Okay.
with a guy. I wrote a song with a guy who is a Grammy winner. And,
Nice. Are you singing, rapping? What are we doing?
Hold up. I mean, well,
I'm just saying.
I got bars.
Okay.
All right. I promoted the book with a spoken word piece. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, congratulations on it. We will look for that.
All right.
So just keep us posted on everything. We definitely want to support. So proud of you. I hope whoever listens or watches this today, I hope you play it back for your kids, because you're such a great example of not allowing your circumstances, your environment to really, I guess, stop you from getting to everything God has for you. So keep going. We're cheering for you. And lastly, you know what I'm going to have to invent, not invent. Let me not say invent. I can't say invent around a person that actually invents and
Why
patents
not?
things.
Wait.
You know what I'm going to say this. What I have to start doing here on the Dash is a shoe cam. Because they need to see these shoes that you got on. I don't know if we can get we got to hold up your sneaker game. Can you see the sneakers though? Okay. Because the Balmains are definitely popping. And I saw him as soon as he came in. I was like, okay, sneaker game. I love it. So yeah, we're going to have to start doing the sneaker
in
game.
schools, it breaks the ice. A lot of times some kids are too cool for school. That we start talking shoes, we break the ice, we can get to the
First
robots.
thing they see.
Right.
First thing they see. Well, thank you so much. Tell everybody how they can follow you on social media.
Oh, yeah. Instagram, David Chris Global. LinkedIn, David C. Williams. Twitter, DCW Global.
All right. DCW Global. Y'all heard that. All right. Thank you so much, David, for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for the support. Make sure you subscribe to the Dash Podcast YouTube channel. Also, we're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more. And feel free to share with some family and friends. Thanks, guys.